What you just saw is my renovation proposal for the south side of Nebraska's Memorial Stadium. But before I get into how I built it, this is what's actually there today. This section has been barely touched since 1972, and 5 years ago, I started redesigning it. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the whole thing, from the research to the hundreds of sketches and all the hours of failed modeling leading up to the final result. And here is what makes the timing wild. This spring, 5 years into my project, the University of Nebraska announced their own $600 million proposal to tear down this exact section and renovate it. So my fun little side project is no longer hypothetical anymore. So stick around into the end to see how it turns out compared to the real thing. To get this right, I had to know everything. Every renovation the stadium ever had and every problem it never solved. And the South Stadium problems aren't just cosmetic. I've been coming to games here my whole life. I can tell you firsthand, the legroom is so tight, your knees are practically in the row in front of you. And the concourse is open air, which in Nebraska's cold winters is brutal. Plus, the bathrooms still have troughs, which are definitely not up to ADA code whatsoever, but some say they're very efficient. This stadium was built to honor the Nebraskans who served in the Civil War, the Spanish-American War, and World War I. What started as 2 grandstands on the sidelines grew into seating on all 4 sides. A press box, the Husker vision screens, club seats, suites, each one added in a later renovation. But in modern college football, it's nearly impossible to keep up with the ever-changing facility upgrades. On game days, this stadium becomes the 3rd largest city in Nebraska. Almost 90,000 people, so the facilities have to match the best fans in the sport. Home of the Sea of Red and the longest sellout streak in college football, Memorial Stadium is more than a place to watch a football game. It holds the world record attendance for a volleyball match, and it has also hosted outdoor concert events. So the renovation shouldn't just fit the campus and the history belonging to the stadium. It has to deliver on game day and the 358 other days of the year as well. Whatever I designed, I couldn't sacrifice the identity of Memorial Stadium. The renovation had to feel like it belonged, as if it had always been there their entire time, not something that was simply tacked on to the south end zone. So before I designed anything, I studied how other schools solved this same problem. I looked at recent renovations from schools like Utah, Kansas, Missouri, and several others. What surprised me was almost none of these projects had proposed plans to increase the existing capacities, but all of them were focused on making the fan experience 10 times better. One of the biggest trends I noticed was premium seating. Schools are replacing traditional bowl seating with suites, loge boxes, and field level clubs that encourage fans to spend more time at the stadium. I like that direction, but I didn't want to sell it completely to premium seating. One of my goals was actually to expand the existing student section and preserve the iconic Sea of Red in the south end zone. They weren't just designing places to watch football anymore. They were embracing the things that made college football special: the traditions, the students, marching band, tailgating, and the campus atmosphere. With the research complete, it was finally time to start designing. Sketching has always been my favorite way to explore ideas. It's fast, it's flexible, and lets me iterate without worrying about the details. I broke the process into a few clear goals. First, I focused on the seating layout and how the new South Stadium end zone will connect with the existing stadium. Getting that relationship right was critical, because I wanted to make the renovation feel seamless, not like an addition that feels bolted on years later. Once I had a layout I liked, I started sketching several end zone concepts. Most of them, honestly, weren't very good, but that's the point of sketching. You can go through dozens of ideas without having to waste hours modeling. But every once in a while though, a couple sketches stood out. From there, I shifted my attention to the exterior. During my research, I studied materials used throughout Memorial Stadium and the rest of campus. Most of the buildings relied on a consistent palette of red brick, stone, and exposed concrete. The biggest exception was Nebraska's new football facility, which introduced a much more modern language with black metal panels, glass, and a striking red entry. That project suggested more contemporary direction for the future renovations, but I wasn't convinced that was the right direction for the stadium. Instead of choosing one approach immediately, I sketched multiple facade concepts, some more modern, others traditional, to see which one fit the best. Once I had narrowed down those ideas, it was time to bring it all into 3D. But things were going to get a lot worse before they got better. I started modeling from the ground up, building the stadium one level at a time. First came the lower bowl and the connection back to the existing east and west stands. Once that relationship felt right, I added a second tier with a deeper center section and a step down on the sides to make room for 3 levels of patio, suites, and club level seating. Then I turned to the exterior. Those initial sketches definitely evolved into more of a modern design. It still used Nebraska's familiar brick and concrete palette, but I also introduced metal panels inspired by the new football facility to tie the old and the new together. At that time, I thought I had it all figured out. But then months passed and the excitement faded. Every time I opened the model, something fell off. I couldn't explain it, but I knew it wasn't the final design. So I kept sketching, I built more versions, tore them apart, started over, repeated the process over and over again. After more than 100 hours of work, I started questioning everything. Maybe I wasn't a good designer at all, and maybe architecture wasn't the right career for me. It's funny looking back at it now, but at the time, after spending hundreds of hours to create a design that I don't even like, it was extremely discouraging. Then one afternoon, I drew a sketch that changed everything. For the first time, I could actually see the vision. It struck the balance that I've been seeking from the very beginning, preserving the tradition and introducing a premium experience. The seating wrapped fans closer to the field. Field level clubs created an entirely new perspective of the game for the fans, and somehow it still felt like Memorial Stadium. That sketch became the foundation of the next model. The following months were a huge roller coaster. Some days I'd make a ton of progress. Others, I'd stare at my screen for hours, wondering why nothing looked right. By now, nearly 2 years had passed, and I had invested over 150 hours of my free time into this project. Eventually, the persistence led to this design. It wasn't identical to the sketch, and that's a good thing. As I modeled, the architecture evolved. The connection to the existing stadium became stronger. The lower bowl integrated more naturally, and the fan experience improved with features like heated outdoor seating, specialty loge boxes, and field level premium spaces. When I rendered it for the first time, I thought I'd finally cracked the code. But then something unexpected happened. The longer I looked at it, the more flaws I noticed. The seats worked, the experience seemed fine, but the exterior wasn't good enough. It reminds me of this Homer Simpson meme. From the inside, the design looks impressive. From the outside, it was hiding problems that hadn't been solved. I also wasn't convinced by the current seating capacity. One of the main goals early on was to preserve the appearance of the sea of red in the south end, but this version was sacrificing way too much seating. I already knew the problems with the existing South Stadium, but I also knew what made Memorial Stadium so special. The challenge wasn't choosing between history and innovation. It was finding a way to intertwine the two. So instead of forcing a modern design on this historic stadium, I started looking deeper at Nebraska's history. Nebraska is known for its worldwide success, especially from 1970 to 2001, boasting a 330, 60, and 5 record with 5 national championships. So I asked myself one simple question: how could the design symbolize their historic success? The stadium already hangs banners and lists the title years on the press box, but everyone does that and it never feels permanent. Then I recalled something back in my precedent research, the image with the shelves of their national champion trophies stored within the stadium. What if the 5 national championship trophies became the 5 towers across the south end zone's exterior facade, which would also build off the existing towers on the east and west stadiums? I started sketching, but I didn't even have to finish because the whole concept was already mapped out in my head. So I got to work immediately. I modeled each trophy exactly, and then simplified and reshaped it into architecture forms that fit the composition of the stadium. From there, I borrowed the arches and structural rhythm of the existing east facade to fill in space between the towers. For the first time, the new stadium didn't feel tacked on. It looked like Nebraska. By this point, over 3 years have gone by. The only thing I can think about is stadium design. But there was still one final challenge: the seating. I expanded the second club level, adding an upper deck to better match the West Stadium, and continued refining the overall bowl in the 3D model. Then came one final iteration. Can you spot the difference? I added a south video board. Yes, it meant sacrificing a handful of nosebleed seats, but it solved a problem that had existed for years. Fans in the north end zone were having to turn their neck to look at the video board behind them. So by adding the video board in the south end zone, this would solve that problem. And that was the final piece to the puzzle. Here's what the design actually does. It includes field level seating that never existed before, and is providing a one-of-a-kind experience for the Husker fans. It includes a continuous 360 concourse wrapping the entire bowl, a new connection to the existing East Stadium that still reads as its own design, a new scoreboard, and a new continuous student section finally filling the south end zone, where the old corners used to be split between the 2 different massings. There's also better seating across the board, clubs, suites, and elevated experience, all while keeping the visual sea of red and existing capacity. I finally had it. The design I've chased down for 5 years, fully modeled. But I wasn't done yet because I still had to bring the design to life with renderings. But before we get there, look how far this concept has come. now we're gonna start to render it. But rendering it though was its own monster. I still had to add every material and all the context. And with traditional rendering, that means adding the people, the assets, and the buildings. But along the way, there was a couple things I did to make the process a lot easier. The first was I found a video on how to import Google Earth data into Blender and then to Rhino. This was a massive upgrade from the white masking blocks that I was planning on using. But knowing how much work was left, I procrastinated, which meant I avoided this project for a while. And then the world changed forever. AI rendering broke out. I'd tried it before earlier in the process, but the results were garbage. They were inconsistent and nothing like my design. But now I was getting photorealistic renderings within seconds. It still took hours behind the scenes to learn the tools, but I finally had a real project to point them at. I set the field level elevation first that locked in the style for everything after, and then a few more exterior views, which is where AI saved me the most. Instead of modeling every tree, person, and building, AI generated the context within seconds. But it wasn't magic yet because the results were still drifting and inconsistent, changing my structure, ignoring my references, and didn't match up shot by shot. It wasn't until I worked out the strategies for AI consistency that I finally clicked. The same design, every angle, high quality, within seconds, leading us to the big reveal. After 5 years and hundreds of hours of work, I present to you the final design. And that's my proposal. But here it is, side by side with the proposed plan. And if you like this video and you want to get the same high quality renderings that I did, I'm going to drop the link to my free AI cheat sheet in the description below, so you can have access to the AI tools, prompt structures, and see the results I'm producing.